culture has swept the world over the last 2 decades. Powerful social critiques like Squid Games, movies like Parasite and Minari have received global recognition which is unparalleled in all aspects of Korean food, design, sports, technology, and the society as a whole has gained new visibility. Some people, however, suggest that the Korean wave is just beginning and that their next step, which is commonly referred to as the Korean dream, will take Korea as it moves quickly towards reunification to a new level. Today, I, Emmanuel Pastreich, president of the Asia Institute, with offices in Washington, D.C. and here in Seoul, Korea, join with Ryan Gil, a regional representative of Global Peace Foundation for Asia and the Pacific, to talk about what the Korean dream could mean and specifically the insights offered by Dr. Hyun Moon in his book by that title. Welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Emmanuel.
So let's start out with the most simple, basic question. Why has Korean culture and the Korean wave, and beyond it the Korean dream, why has it been so successful in the last few years?
Korean tradition has 5,000 years history, and such a long history, the Korean wave has a very splendid background in it. Especially the Koreans' feeling, emotion is very different from those of the world. Korean people, basically, they are living together, forming a large family structure,
right,
based on the filial piety and devotion. And the Korean people is
right,
peace-loving
right,
people who never invaded other countries while they are attacked by enemies
right,
surrounding nations. You imagine it's more than 900 times.
right.
But Korean never invade other countries at all. So throughout this tragic history, Korean has suffered a lot. Separation, loss, destroys, so many things they have suffered. So the special feeling of Korean, which Korean has, the Han,
Right.
the feeling of Han, is very different emotion. Maybe Dr. Emmanuel, you can describe if you know Han.
Well, I don't pretend to be a Korean. This idea of Han, which is a regret and it's a complex feeling, right? Both the feeling about the remorse or sorrow about past events, but maybe you can explain more thoroughly for us what the term Han is and why it's important.
Yeah, I think the Han is like you described, maybe not that simply translated to the English. Someone said revenge,
Right,
or grief,
right,
regret.
Right.
But this is more than that feelings. Throughout the time of the suffering, Korean has Han in their minds.
Right.
And that Han expresses, the Han endures all the sad things in their mind.
Right, right.
And never revenge,
Right.
give back,
Right.
that sadness towards people who hurt them.
Right.
Instead of using these opportunities to growing themselves.
Right.
So who will punish them,
Right.
who hurt them?
Right.
Korean believe that it is Han,
Right.
that,
Well, it has that transformative quality, right? That it is a regret or even a resentment about past events which were not proper, that were wrong, however, can be transformed into something positive to build forward to the future.
That's right. So the forgiveness is not given by the people or
Right.
by me or by someone else, but by God.
Right.
That is
right.
very
Good way to put it.
interesting. Yeah, interesting point. So the other elements, how the Korean culture, Hallyu, Korean wave, is strengthened, I should tell you about the miracle of the Han. You know,
The Han River.
Yes, Han
Right.
River. Yeah. So that miracle of Han expresses that how Korean has miserable situations
Right.
after the Korean War, amid the ashes,
Right.
of this Korean devastated Korean land.
Right.
But now the Korea is like a 10th largest country in terms of the international trade exchange.
Right.
So somehow in Koreans' heart and DNA inherent
Right.
in Korean is very strong. And whenever you have a suffering throughout their history, they are somehow in their mind
Right.
has a very DNA inherent in Korean
Right.
special emotion that some ethos
Right.
remains Korean very strong and to overcome all the situations. So maybe that kind of thing
Right.
will help the Korean wave
Right.
now spread all around the world, and all the people around the world is crazy about Korean things.
Right. Well, I just want to note for those who may not understand that the Han River is the largest river that flows through the city of Seoul, divides it into north and south, and Gangnam, as you know from Korean Wave, is the southern part where we are right now. But of course, Han is also that word, that sort of transformative quality of taking past resentment and hurt and making it into something positive for the future. And I think that is really the potential that Korea has at this moment. There has been so much sadness and misunderstanding globally and
Right.
conflict right now as we speak. I mean, United States, where I'm from, with Russia, China, and other countries. But Korea has, in that Han tradition, the sort of potential to transform these resentments and hurt into something positive, a sort of a basis for future sort of development. So maybe we'll talk more specifically about this idea of the Korean dream, which Dr. Hyun Moon had articulated so distinctly. What do you see as the meaning and the significance of the Korean dream?
Yes, a Korean dream. I don't want to leave the country divided.
Right.
And I don't want to accept the idea, accept the reality.
Absolutely not.
So I really hope to leave the country that country really lead
Right.
the global peace
Right.
and prosperity. So we call that aspiration as a Korean dream.
Right. Right. Well, that really is critical for us at this historical moment, right? We have all sorts of challenges that we face, whether it's in terms of culture, in terms of the environment, in terms of international relations, where we really need some sort of dream to inspire us. In my age, I mean, before me, right? I mean, we had the sort of American dream, which gave a vision for what the world might be, and there have been all sorts of efforts to articulate this dream, what the next dream after that would be, whether it's China or Chinese dream or Japanese or other countries as well. But Korea specifically because of its tradition of peace, as Mr. Rai expressed, and this idea of a transformative power of Han, right?
Right.
To go from hurt and sadness about the past and create something positive. That there's this potential in the Korean dream for a new vision moving forward, right? That we can move towards this positive goal of peace in first Korean Peninsula, unification,
Right.
and then peace in East Asia, sort of a new vision for what's possible, and then beyond that, peace for the world as a whole, which is what we so desperately need at this moment.
That's right. The Korean dream, so what we are dreaming of is we are not living, we don't want to live in the divided country, but we really want to live. We really hope to live the country that that gather all the benefits, all the good things from the past, present, and for the future of the Eastern culture and Western culture that applied already. So this country is going to be very first-class country in the world, and that is the strong aspiration for Koreans for the future of their image. So, what if every Korean dreamed of that nation? That dream must come true.
Right. If we all dream the same dream, it becomes a reality. You had mentioned that, I guess, with regards to, was it Mongolia? Was it
yes, that was Genghis Khan's.
Genghis Khan's expression that everybody dreams the same. Say it again.
It's like Genghis Khan says, if somebody, one person dream, that it will be the dream. But everyone dreamed the same, then that dream comes reality.
Right.
Yes.
Very, very well put. And I want to stress this idea of the Korean dream and unification for the Korean Peninsula. I mean, they're inseparable, right? The Korean dream is linked to this idea of a unified Korean Peninsula, but the idea of unification is, I think, much broader in Dr. Moon's writings and in his thinking and the discussion that's going on in Korea about Korean dream. It's not just the sort of technical aspects of trade or building new integration, economic or government, but it's also a unification in terms of thinking, in terms of peaceful, harmonious relations within South Korean society, Republic of Korea, in North Korea, and also around the whole world. So unifying the Korean Peninsula is not just something taking place, in a little corner of Asia, but it really is saying that this unification, this end of this long division of the Korean Peninsula is the transformation of the United Nations, which obviously played a critical role in the division, and the efforts to unify the Korean Peninsula back before 1949, and then in the division of the Korean Peninsula, and now a transformation not only of Korea, but of the United Nations and its mandate itself. And I have been very impressed at the role that Global Peace Foundation has played in articulating a vision for what the future of global governance can be for the next stage after the Korean dream.
Yes. That's right. This Korean dream is all about how we build a new nations, and national transformation is the key issues. And the most important fact of that national transformation is how we share the common vision all together.
I'm reminded when you mentioned that that common dream, common vision, the expert in management, Peter Drucker, originally from Austria, he had a phrase, which I'll paraphrase here. He said, do not solve problems, find new horizons.
Open new horizons.
The idea being that if you just focus on problem solving, then you get stuck, You're just trying to keep solving this problem, like, how are we going to have the next meeting between North Korea and South Korea and the United States? But if you open up a new horizon and people feel hope, potential in that new horizon, that new possibility, then they'll start to turn their heads in that direction, to share that common dream. And in the process, all these problems can be resolved because we have a common goal, a common vision, a common dream.
That's right. So we shouldn't stick on the narrow focused situations, but we have to see the more broader, comprehensive way to achieve this Korean dream.
So tell me, why do you think it is that there are so many people around the world in different countries, whether it's Africa or Southeast Asia or Latin America, who are drawn to this concept of the Korean dream? What is the appeal of the Korean dream globally?
That's right. As we experience very well, nowadays the world is tired of division
Right.
and hostility, and even the ideological conflict, which is revived at the moment.
Right.
So the question of the fundamental matter is arise once again.
Right.
Marxism did not bankrupt after Cold War collapsed.
Right.
And after Soviet Union collapsed, but Marx's vision and everything is still alive
Right.
around everywhere in
Right.
this
Right.
town.
Right.
Now we are at the crossroad.
Right.
So there's two ways.
Right.
The one way to the way we go to the 21st centuries,
Right.
prosperity and peace
Right.
in the world we are living. But
Right.
otherwise, there's serious problems in this world.
Right.
The world is tired because of the division and hostility,
Right.
and ideological conflict
Right.
is happened all around the world.
Right. And that this weariness, the world being tired, this conflict between North and South Korea is most symbolic, most representative of that conflict. But we see it in all aspects of our daily lives, these unnecessary conflicts, even within our families, right?
That's right.
And so this vision, I think, offers hope at the larger scale for peace in the world, but also at the smaller scale for family.
That's right.
And the potential for us all to be as one family.
Right. So we are the member of it's one family, as you said,
Right.
potentially. But nowadays, this fundamental question is being challenged.
Right.
Although this Cold War collapsed,
Right.
but still the Marxism is still around the world.
Right. Well, maybe I could say a word about Marxism because it is a serious, or this the Marxist socialist tradition, because it is a serious issue. The threats, the challenges we face are so great, and the issues of concentration of wealth, etc., are serious. I mean, they have to be addressed. So Marx, the critique of Karl Marx of what they call capitalism. I don't really like the term capitalism, but it's very common to use it. Had to do with the need for a more equal, egalitarian society. And in this respect, parts of his critique were accurate. I mean, he described 19th century Europe accurately. However, there's an enormous problem, enormous hole, right, you might say, or lacuna in the middle of Marxist thinking and analysis. And that is that he takes what's called materialism, right? To essentially say that there is, he reverses Kant's and Hegel's discussions about metaphysics, and he says that the material world is in itself everything, right? That everything is a manifestation of the material, and he rules out any spiritual aspect of human life. So what you think of as being spiritual, we as humans, according to Marx, is just some aspect of the material world being projected onto our minds. So religion is just a way to deceive people, right? And that was, I think, the greatest tragedy, that this idea that somehow you could create an equal, more egalitarian society, which I think is not a bad goal, but to say that it would be done by eliminating all spiritual aspects of human life was a tremendous problem.
Yeah. So this fundamental question has been challenged and then question of the human rights and freedom
Right.
is also being challenged seriously.
Right.
So all these human rights coming from the government,
Right.
so all the
Right.
human right and freedom is coming from the transcendent beings.
Right.
All these questions are seriously challenged.
Absolutely.
So this is why the Korean dream is very much important in these critical situations. Because like we shared just before, there is no clear debate about a vision
Right.
of human beings should pursue.
Right.
They all talk about narrow
Right.
focused agendas
Very
what happens
true.
around the
Very
world.
true.
But never discuss and debate about the future and vision of the human being with
Right.
this fundamental universal value.
Right, right. Well, in fact, I would say that the fundamental universal values are the only way we can solve the current crisis. And this has been, I think, a real problem in politics and in society and education is to, in the opposite of Peter Drucker, right? Focus on these problems, right? These specific little issues that we have, and not to think big. Not
right.
think big, think small. But I think at this moment, the crisis is so large that it's a crisis of civilization ultimately, that the only solution is to think big. And that's what the Korean dream offers to us.
That's why the unified Korean will bring
Right,
this hope to the many nations after Cold War II. There are so many countries in this world who experiences colonialism
Very true.
and very conflict between poor and rich. So the unified Korea is the country served by this tremendous vision and can give a great insight to the many countries around the world.
very true. Well, look, maybe in closing, you might say a word about for young people, whether from in elementary school, high school, or in college, or starting working. What is the appeal, the significance of the Korean dream for young people?
Young people is very excited when they heard about the future, when they heard about the vision. So that's why I think the BTS is well
Right.
welcomed
Right,
around the world because the vision and aspiration they are singing
Right.
all together with all the global audience. So when, in that sense, the young people, if they heard about this Korean dream, their vision, aspiration, value,
right,
then I'm pretty much sure that young people will inspired
right.
and like this value and greatly join this aspiration.
Excellent. Very well put. And I want to thank everybody for joining us for this discussion about the significance of the Korean dream in the context of the Korean wave and the future of humanity, the potential for peace. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.